Okay, so now I have Focusrite hooked back to the iPad. And I'm going to open template 2. And we're going to go here, we're going to make sure we hit record on each track, except for the last one. And that's telling it to record track 1, track 2, channel 3, channel 4. So it records all 8 drum microphones. We also want to make sure we press the 48 volt button for all the microphones so that powers on any condensers you have. So now I'm just going to hit record on here and play drums for just a second and then stop it so I can show you how I edit the sounds after the fact. All right, now that everything's ready to go, I'm going to hit record here. You'll see the tracks moving and recording here while I'm playing the drums. You'll see a countdown. Now it's recording. Okay, now that I've recorded just about 30 seconds, you can see there's hardly anything here. So now I'm going to go back to the plus sign and drop it down to whatever I need. Let's do like 30 because I didn't hardly record anything. Now you can see all the drums I recorded. So I'm going to save this, and then in a second I'll show you how I adjust the sounds of each drum. Okay, now that you did your drum recording on template 2, open it back up, and you can see here on the side, it's a limited amount of options to work with, but you can adjust the sound. So for example, for the first overhead, I'll pan it to the left a little bit. We'll give it some compression. I usually will play the music and make adjustments as to what sounds better. I usually bring the bass up and the treble up, and then also a little bit of reverb. Now, the most important part about this is to sit here and to listen to your stuff and make the adjustments to how you think it sounds good. Some things you won't want as much treble, bass, etc. I spent quite a while adjusting my setup to get it how I thought it sounded best. In a moment, I will show you my settings for each track, but again, it may vary depending on your room, your microphones, how you're doing stuff. But for now, you want to go through each track and change. For the right overhead, we'll pan to the right. Again, make adjustments for each track. We'll also adjust the music track once we have one in there, and then save it once you're done. Here's an example between what I just recorded with no EQ and using it with my personal EQ. And now after it's all EQ'd, so for example, I'm going to show you the settings for each of my drum tracks that I like. Again, please adjust this to your taste and what sounds best to you, but here's what I do to make it sound how it does on my videos. So my left overhead, you can see I pan it pretty far. The compressor, bass and treble, and reverb. Now my right overhead will be the same, just pan the other direction. Then my bass drum and every other drum will have their own settings. This is for my bass drum. More reverb and bass than the last ones. For my snare, lots of compression, treble. This is for my ride cymbal. That's currently not being used. This is for my rack tom. That's also panned to the left. And my floor tom panned to the right. I'll note that the ride cymbal is panned very slightly to the right to bring it forward in the mix. And those are the settings that I use for my drums. I showed all the settings for each of my channels, but I forgot to show the one for the audio. So I just do a little bit of editing to the audio channel just to make the music sound better. So once everything is adjusted as far as EQ levels for yourself, what you want to do is you want to, I guess we'll close it and we'll duplicate this. Hold your finger down, hit duplicate. So this is a new template. See, we started with these are the ones with my settings. So I'm going to erase the original template, and new template 3 will become, I'll rename it, hold my finger down, hit rename, and hit template. I'm going to save that. I'm going to open it back up. I'm going to erase the drum tracks in it. I'm going to expand it back out to 400 bars. And then I'm going to save it. So now every time you want to do a new song, you open a copy of template and all your EQ settings, all your microphone stuff is saved to make it simple. So I'm going to show you how easy it is when I want to do a drumless track. I duplicate this. I open it up. I open a file. We'll do Blink-182. Drag it in. I plug it to Focusrite. I hit record on all the buttons. And I play along to the drums. I hit record, play along to the song. As soon as I'm done, I hit stop, save. And the song itself is all saved with every drum having all the EQs, everything already done. And that's it. One other quick thing I want to say is when you hook up your AirPods to your iPad, you should go to settings, Bluetooth, and then you'll see that our AirPods are connected. So you should always go to the info button and turn it to off. You don't want noise cancellation on when you're doing this because you want to be able to hear your drums, and noise cancellation will cancel that out. So always make sure you have it off. And also, you should also always connect your AirPods first, because for some reason when I connect them after GarageBand is open, it resets what I have already done. So connect your AirPods, make sure it's set to off, then open GarageBand and get ready to record. Something else I wanted to mention, after you plug your AirPods in and you open your template, you have to hit record on all your tracks again. For some reason, when you first open it, the AirPods connecting reset that. Also, you can't hit all those until you're connected to your Focusrite. So once you have it plugged into the Focusrite and you have your AirPods connected, then open your template and hit record on all the tracks except for the audio track. Okay, so lastly with this part, here is a drumless track that I've recorded to. So I don't do really any post editing. All of this stuff on the left stays the same. But you can see here, some things are moved very slightly. So what I like to do personally, you can again adjust this for yourself, is I turn the snare a little bit higher. I pull the overheads back just a little bit. And I adjust the ride here depending on what sounds best for the song. But my toms and my bass drum pretty much stay, they're all in line. So after I record the song, that's when, depending on each song, I adjust the snare and the overheads just a little bit. That's all the post editing I do. It takes 20 seconds to decide. I'll play it for just a second to show you the difference. So here's the snare drum. If I pull this down, you lose it. If you pull it up, you can see how it fills it in more. That applies with everything, but I usually just do the snare and pull the overheads down a little bit, and that's it. When I talked about post editing, I want to show one thing. When you record, you want to make sure everything is the same. On my template, everything's the same. I don't go in and change anything until after I record. If you turn the snare way up now and record it, it would be recording at a higher volume than the rest of the things. You want everything to record at the same volume. Then, once you're done, then you can edit the volume of independent tracks.